Hello, my name is Asher Feldman. I'm a 14-year-old developer from Houston, Texas. This is my first hackathon, and I built Celestial, and I'm here to demo it. Okay, so what is Celestial? It's a platform for deploying and taking positions on futures contracts, and these futures contracts are governed by a DAO. Okay, so let's go over here, and this is where I'm going to deploy a futures contract along with an order book at which it can be traded. And usually you would go through the DAO to do this, and then the DAO would agree to govern and maintain this contract. Okay, so let's paste in the address of the token that we want to use as collateral and the initial price at which it will be minted, the name, which can be whatever, and yeah. Okay, so yeah, as I said, the DAO would have to agree to governing this. I'm just overriding this for the demo. In these contracts that are deployed, the smart contracts that are deployed, it's a futures contract and order book, and these are upgradable contracts, which means that the DAO has the ability to change the smart contract code pretty much. So yeah, here I'm going to do this, and you can see now this is where you will toggle between different futures contracts over here. And when you deploy on the DAO, deploy from the DAO, the description of what it is very important, because that's what determines the underlying asset of the futures contract. And in turn that determines the price and the way it's maintained and settled and all of that. Okay, so let's make our own vault. Well, you can see that the index or ID is 0. I'm going to mint some tokens that I can use as collateral. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to supply some of it to my vault. Okay, so now that it's supplied, I can borrow. And when I borrow, it's important that I don't exceed a debt to collateral ratio of 4 to 5. Now, this ratio may be changed due to whatever the DAO wants. See, they could upgrade it or upgrade the smart contract code. But this is just to ensure that there's no under collateralization of the futures. Okay, so now if we look down over here at the details of the vault at ID 0, we will see that the collateral is 98.5 because there was a fee taken, so it's not 100, and the debt is 70. Okay, so now I will demonstrate how to close your vault. All you have to do is pass in your index or your ID. It's that easy, and you close your vault. And along with supplying and borrowing, you can also repay back your debt or withdraw collateral from your vault using very similar functions to supply and borrow. Okay, so you can see that all the default values are in for that particular vault, and this futures contract is represented by a token, and this token is an ERC20 token. So it has all the standard functions such as approve, transfer from, and transfer. So if you are to exceed that ratio that I had mentioned earlier, you are eligible for liquidation. Okay, so the next thing I will explain is settlement. This is what makes this so unique and so different from other futures platforms. The settlement is determined by the DAO rather than some fixed data source. So they can call these functions that will set the settlement date and the settlement price. And once that settlement date is reached, the price will settle down to that settlement price. So once that happens, you can no longer interact with your vault by supplying, withdrawing, or repaying or borrowing debt. But you can either redeem your short position or redeem your long position, or you can do both. So redeeming your short position will transfer you your collateral minus your debt times that settlement price. Redeeming your long position will just transfer you your balance in the futures token times the price. So yeah, pretty simple. So now I'm going to demo the order book. But before I do that, I'm going to mint some more of those futures tokens because I had already closed the vault. And after I do that, we can trade on the order book. Okay, so I've now just minted some more of those futures tokens so I can trade with them on the order book. And as you can see, there's already a drop down here because that button that I had clicked earlier, it deployed not only a futures contract, but also an order book on which that token can be traded. So here we can see also there's an order book here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a limit buy. So they're requesting an order for 2 futures tokens in return for 10 of the collateral token for each one. Okay, we can see our order ID is 1. Alright, so now let's just make sure. Check it out. Amount 2, price 10, and the maker is that address that we've been using. Okay, so now let's partially fill that order. So we'll place a market sell order at that same price, same values, so that they will fill each other. And you can see back here that it worked. Amount 1, price 10. It had taken 1 away. So now let's place a limit sell. And when you place a limit sell, it'll automatically do a market sell with the minimum price being the price. So if I do 1 and 1, it will automatically fill this limit buy that I had placed up here. So if I do this, you'll see I go here, and here, okay, and you will see that not only this one, it's been filled with the default values, but this one, it's also order ID 1 because the buy orders and the sell orders, they have different IDs. So if we check over here, you'll also see 0 because they had filled each other. But let's do this again. I will demonstrate how to delete it. Okay, so if we place that order right there, order ID 2 now, since it's the only order, it's the buy, or it's the sell head, which means it's the most intriguing offer to the counterparty. And it's the only order, so naturally it is that. So I have to call this function instead due to the nature that it's built in. And you will see that order ID 2 default values 2. Alright, because it got deleted. Okay, so that's the order book demo. Let's check out governance. So this governance system is the only part of this whole thing that was largely taken from another source. It is Compound's governance system with a few minor tweaks and changes to adjust for the needs of Celestial. So it's just, the governance token for Celestial. Interact with that, and you can propose, you can make proposals, pass them, vote on them, execute them, all that. And this right here is how you would normally do it. You would propose on the DAO for that function to be called to deploy a futures contract in an order book. And if the DAO agrees to do this, they are economically incentivized to maintain and upgrade this contract when needed and settle it. Because if they don't, then they will lose credibility, and naturally, if that happens, then the price of the governance token will drop, and they obviously don't want that. Okay, so that's the governance system. Now let me explain the applications of this. So What makes Celestial so interesting is that it doesn't rely on a source for its data. All it relies on is the DAO to settle its contracts. So as it says right here, Celestial allows anyone to invest in real estate on the moon, which sounds ridiculous, but that's one of many applications. It can have very esoteric underlying assets that don't even have to exist yet. And the applications of this are up to the imagination. So yeah, that's what Celestial is. Pretty cool in my opinion. I hope you think so too. Yeah, alright, I'll see you later.